Hey Lydia, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm like dead excited to have you on.
Oh, thanks, mate. It's a pleasure. It's a privilege, I must say.
Awesome. Right, we're gonna let's get straight into it. So you graduated from Nottingham Trent in 2018, 2017. So what did you do at uni, like in terms of like your course and your volunteering? Because I know you did a lot of volunteering whilst you were there as well.
Oh, yeah, so much. So, like you said, I graduated from Nottingham Trent University in 2018 in broadcast journalism. So, that was basically just learning how to be a journalist. It was a very vocational course. So, it was very hands on practical stuff, properly learning the trade.
Okay.
But the broadcast side of things, as opposed to the written side of things, if you were to go into writing or online journalism. And it was a fantastic 3 years, 3 years that, like, everyone says university is the best 3 years of your life, but seriously, it was my favorite 3 years ever.
Yeah.
And I made so many friends. I learned so much about myself, and it was just fantastic. While I was at university, though, doing my course, learning how to do stuff with the media law and the current affairs, I also took part in a lot of student media, which I feel is integral to wanting to get a job in that field. So I was mainly a massive part of a student radio station called Fly FM, and I had a show for 3 years with my best friend Cameron called Sunday Night Show Tunes. I'm sorry, it's so cheesy.
So cheesy.
But it was our passion at the time, and they somehow thought, yeah, let's just roll with this for 3 years. It will be great. And through that, I not only did the show, I was head of music. I also did news reading, so that really helped me bolster my skills on my course. And I also got to intern for a TV station on my final year. So that meant that I could really work on my craft and be basically more employable, I think. Yeah. Is the most important thing. But it really was the best 3 years academically and also socially within my volunteer work with the radio station and the TV station, Trent TV, as well. But I felt like radio was really my passion, and that's what really helped me to get to where I am now.
Awesome. So let's just touch on that, what you just said. So how did you, because obviously you're presenting and producing and doing loads of other bits and pieces for BBC Radio Lancashire. How did you get those first steps into the station? Was it hard? Was it difficult? Was it easy? How was it?
Oh, well, should we go back to the very start of how this all happened?
Go on.
It was actually a year ago today. How crazy was this? That it was the general election of 2017.
Right.
And I was part of a group of students who went to I was part of a group of students who were part of a nationwide broadcast with the Broadcast Journalism Training Council. And we were all kind of linked up onto one station in Bedfordshire, I believe, a place that you know very well.
Yes, yeah, I'm from Bedford, yeah.
University of Bedfordshire, yeah. And their student radio station. So they decided to do a student simulcast of the general election. And we basically got an email through. I was in my second year, and they said, this is the chance for you to be part of national coverage for the general election. And I was like, let's do it. I don't care. Let's just roll with it. So they said, go to your home constituency and report from the count, the election count. So after the polls close at 10 o'clock, there's a whole night of voting. So I thought, do you know what? This would be an amazing opportunity to kind of boost myself in terms of my career skills. So I went along all really nervous. Like me and my mum had driven to Tesco, got me a meal deal for like my 2 a.m. snack. And she dropped me off where I actually had my year 11 prom, which was a bit like, wow, this has gone a bit full circle. So all that kind of happened. I got to the media bench, sat down next to a guy called Gary Scott, who was from BBC Radio Lancashire.
Okay.
And I told him what I was doing because he could tell that I was quite young and whatever. And I was saying like, oh yeah, I'm part of like a student program that's simulcast around the country, and you know, I live here but I go to uni in Nottingham. And they said, you know, go back to your home constituency and report on it. And a couple of minutes later he said, at the end of tonight, remind me, I'm going to give you the email address for my boss.
Wow.
And that was Tim Padfield, who is one step below John Clayton.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to talk to him about you, and we'll see if you can get you some work experience. So obviously that was the craziest time to ever be asking for work experience, because we just had a general election and it was all kicking off. So I sent a couple of emails to him. I had 2 weeks work experience in September of that year before I went into third year. Kind of stayed in Nottingham for my final year because it's like last year at uni, you want to like experience everything and have fun. And then I kind of got round to June where the year had finished. I was going travelling with my best friend Cameron, who now works for Good Morning Britain, and I was like, I need a job when I get home. So I basically smashed together a CV, sent it off to all the people that I'd done work experience with previously. So BBC Radio Lancashire, Global in Manchester, so Capital, LBC, all that, and ITV Granada, where I had 2 days just on a whim. And a couple of days later, I got an email back from Tim saying, we're looking for new freelancers to work as a broadcast assistant, come in for a meeting. And it basically just kicked off from there. And then a couple of months later, I was asked to do, after a few BA, broadcast assistant shifts, so I keep saying BAing as though everyone knows what and a few journalism shifts as well. They were like, do you fancy presenting this show called The Common Room with Husnain Hanif?
Yeah.
They had seen on Facebook that I'd been to the Student Radio Awards, so that was my work with Fly FM the previous year when I was at uni, because we won the Bronze Award for Best Student Radio Chart Show, which was a national thing presented by Marvin Humes, which was fun.
That's a huge achievement, though.
Which was huge. I was one of the assistant producers. I was like shouting around the office to our social media people saying like, post this, post that. I felt so much power. It was amazing. But I kind of was just like, yeah, okay, oh, bloody hell. I'll do this show, that's fine. And then it kind of went from there. And I just started saying yes to everything. And that's something that we could get onto later. But yeah, that's basically how I landed myself doing stuff for BBC Radio Lancashire, and I'm still there now and I'm loving it.
Yeah, so. No, I think like I had a similar like story to you, because my lecturer said, oh, there's someone from Lancs coming up, we need someone to show him around campus. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And that's how I met Mike Stevens.
Yeah.
So he came in, started chatting to him, and he goes, oh, we'll have to get you to the studio. I was like, okay. And that's where I met John. And then, it just got some work experience from there. And it just kind of snowballed. And then I got involved with the New Voices.
Yes.
Competition.
That was a fun day, wasn't it? Because
Lydia.
And I was like, oh my God, Belle's here. Because a few weeks earlier, you came on WorkX with us, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Film me and Husnain, and I was chopping up a fish at some fishmongers.
You was, yeah. That was my first sort of bit I did.
That was the worst Try-Day challenge I think Husnain has ever set me, ever. And it was so funny because I said, you owe me a Starbucks after this, and we all went to Starbucks.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
So funny. But no, that's just what the job's all about. You just got to channel your inner Blue Peter presenter and just go for it, and it'll be absolutely fine. But yeah, when you came for New Voices, you were so nervous.
I was shaking. I'd be the first to admit. And I remember talking to you and Husnain and Tim and everyone else there, and I was like, literally like shaking. And I don't know how I just managed it, talking to like those 3 judges. But somehow I did something right somewhere, and I'm still here.
No, but you did fabulously, because let's think, the three judges that were in front of you is Bersha, who's my boss, who is probably one of the loveliest human beings ever. It was Dave McPartlin, who got through to the live shows of Britain's Got Talent, and he's like the softest human ever.
He's the head teacher, wasn't he?
Yeah, head teacher of Fleetwood Primary.
That's it, yeah.
And then Karen, who was head of the Duke's Theatre. So she's used to auditions. Like, it was fine.
Exactly.
But that was such a fun day, and I'm so
for you it was, yeah.
No, but no, more for you, because you did well, and then you got onto the final 12, mate. So
I know, yeah.
Nothing to worry about that. You smashed it.
Yeah, and you was part of my first show as well. You did the Two Truths, One Lie.
Oh yeah.
For me.
Oh my god. I remember Maddie. So Maddie Hammond, for context, if you're listening, she's one of the other producers. Just for context, she freelanced at Radio Lancashire, went down to Radio Gloucester for a year to work on a 12-month contract, and then came back. Yeah. And then they put her on the New Voices stuff.
So she was my producer, yeah.
She was the producer, and she's just like a powerhouse. She's amazing. But she was saying, like, we want to do this feature. Can you record it? And I was like, absolutely. Like, that's fine. So I'm glad that I was a part of your
first
soiree into radio. Great.
You'll always be part of my history. That's the thing.
Aww.
And like we was so I had the second show like all planned, and then lockdown happened.
Oh.
I was like, Lydia, you'll not believe how gutted I was, because I think I was like 5 days before, and then Maddie called saying, I'm really, really sorry, but we're gonna have to cancel the show. And I was like, oh, I was absolutely devastated. But it's the same like with you, because you had the Thursday night takeover. You were doing that at the time, wasn't you, when lockdown happened?
Yeah, I mean, it was very kind of on and off the first couple of weeks when lockdown was going to be a thing. So we obviously did I don't want to call it a coronavirus special, but it was like most of the items were coronavirus based, because we were told that week that we couldn't have guests come into the studio. And that is the main part of the show. We always have a live guest come in for 45 minutes, from like 8:30 till 9:15. And we thought, how on earth are we going to get around this? And I think that is kind of the beauty of the job as well, and how you can learn how to get around these things. Because we managed to set up 2 pre-recorded interviews within about an hour, and then do them, get them edited, and then that was just the base content for our show. We interviewed one of our friends called Elise Monroe, who's from Burnley. She is a makeup artist, and we were asking her how on earth she was going to carry on with her business, because she works from home. Her parents literally let her convert their dining room into a makeup studio. So obviously people were coming into her house, and that would increase the risk of COVID coming into her own family home. Yeah. So obviously she had a lot to think about. And then we also spoke to a personal trainer in Briarfield called PT Ressa, asking her about how she's going to do her classes, how she's going to, make sure that people are getting their workout plans all sorted out. And the important thing to remember about TNT, Thursday Night Takeover, is that it is mainly for a younger audience. Yeah. So we really wanted to make sure that all the newsy stuff that was happening during the day, that was detracted from, so that we could focus on the young people that the coronavirus pandemic would affect. Yeah. So that's why we went for the makeup artists, the personal trainers, people like that. And I think it was a good chance to kind of be more casual about it, because at that time people wanted friends to listen to, they wanted people to listen to on the radio. And I think
like a connection, isn't it, with someone,
a real connection. Yeah. And I think that's what people, especially during this time, have felt if they've been shielding, or if they're over the age of 70, if they've got pre-existing conditions. I think that's why radio is so powerful. And if we could, even on a show that maybe BBC Radio Lancashire isn't the target audience for, say like the 40s and upwards, if we can provide something for younger people, but at the same time give the same sort of scope for what else is happening with the world in another group of people, then that was something that we really wanted to do. And it was a shame that that was the last show. And I'll tell you something, on that Thursday, before all the schools were announced to be closed and everything, I was going to be on doing a 4-hour program.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
They wanted to keep the continuity going and kept with the presenter from the previous evening. I was cool with that because I was anxious as it was, like, with everything that was going on. So I kind of got semi-planned there, and I thought, I'm just going to be talking for 4 hours and just pressing tunes or whatever, and I don't really want to be doing that right now. I'd rather have something that's planned and that's nice for people to listen to. But, you know, at the same time, they need a comforting voice, and that kind of happened. But me and Hussein have been doing lots of stuff in lockdown, so that's fine. Like, he's been getting content sorted out for us. I've been on social media for the past 12 weeks.
Yeah, you're trying to, I've been like following you on social media. You've been trying to get TikTok famous, haven't you?
I'm doing my best. I mean, it's not like, obviously, I've just started the hashtag #GetFlabsTikTok famous.
Definitely.
But I've just been trying. Like, I need to up my game, seriously. Like, the market is so saturated on that app, and I'm just like, I want to try and be something that's different from everyone else, but what am I meant to do? How do I interpret this sound or this trend? And it's just like, I may as well just sit back and watch the world.
It's a lot more fun. A lot more fun. So what would, like, I know you've been working from home, is it 3 months, did you say? Or coming up to 3 months?
It's the start of week 12, isn't it? Yeah. Like, I was working from home, I'd say the Sunday that Boris announced stay at home. I went into the office on the Monday to pick up the laptop that I'm currently talking to you on now. And then since then, I have been off, apart from a couple of weekends when I've had to go in on early mornings to be broadcast assistant from 6 a.m. until 2 p.m.
Okay, so what would a typical day look for you, like, if you're working from home? Obviously not when you've gone into the office, but is there a typical day, or is it just everything everywhere?
Well, if you're saying that I've got into a routine, then I think that's probably the right way to go with it. So my routine typical day would probably be, I'd get up at a time, because the commute is literally from my bed to my desk.
What do you want to?
I would crank up the laptop, because I shut it down every evening, because I just think, right, that's the end of the day, done, sorted. Or if I'm doing stuff on the laptop, say watching Netflix or Disney Plus, which a lot of us are doing right now, I'd restart it and then make sure that every app that I was on during the day was shut before I went on, because I'd want to make sure that there was a home life and a work life.
To separate it,
Yeah, for sure. And then I'd probably get up, use the bathroom, come out, get dressed into gym leggings that I had no intention to work out in, and a t-shirt, a baggy t-shirt. Well, not like this, but, you know, I've made sure I look presentable for this.
Decent for the day.
Yeah, exactly. I'd probably sign into my emails, see what's going on. By about 9:30, I would get the prospects through for the day. So what the radio was planning on doing, me and Versha and John, who are working on social media as well, and other things. John's now working on sport a little bit more because obviously that's all coming back. We just kind of discuss what we're going to do for the day, what we're looking out for, what's been mentioned before. I would then come downstairs, get some breakfast, so that would usually consist of tea and toast, or shreddies and bran flakes.
Good choice. That's a solid choice.
Say hi to my mum, who's also working from home, on the kitchen table, and then I just be like, right, I'll see you later, and go back up to my room with my food. We have a morning meeting telephone conference at 10:30, and then it's literally crack on till lunchtime, which is 1:00, and then for about half an hour or so, usually try to cram in an episode of Catfish, because why not?
Okay.
And because it's my favourite show, and then crack on again after that from about 2 till about 5:30. So I usually see the government press conference at 5:00 as a benchmark to start finishing up.
Okay, cool, yeah.
So that's pretty much my working from home.
That's a pretty full-on day, though.
It is a full-on day.
Like, when you say it like that.
Yeah, it's tough when, you're staring at screens all day, you're on social media when everything is so much more hyped up than it is. But you can really kind of think about how you want things to look for the station and how you want things to look for the news values that are happening at that time.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the most important thing, really, just to get your news head on, get your journalist head on, and just crack on, basically.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, I think that's the bit I've struggled with, like just getting into a routine and getting into even like as smallest thing as like having a shower just makes such like the biggest like change in your day. Just like putting on clothes and just putting on stuff. And I've made a little like workspace downstairs.
Yeah.
Just so it's separate. So because I used to work like in my bed and like just so I wouldn't leave. But I think that's where I was going wrong.
Yeah, definitely. I think there have been some days where I've been working in my bedroom. There have been some days where I've been working in this room, because it depends on whether my dad's working from home or not, basically. I'm still living at home, and I'm grateful that I've been able to do that at this time. But it's still like I feel a little bit trapped in the bedroom. And I've been going out for walks, been doing workouts, I've been keeping myself active, I've been fine, I've been talking to my mates, but there is a point where you're just like, I've been stuck in my room for a week.
Yeah.
When you've been staring at a screen and doing the same kind of thing every day, you do, like I said, like with the press conference, and then I listen to Radio Lancashire's output just to see if there's anything that goes on that could work on social media, because we always want to link stuff that's been on air back to the social media, and that it's just how it works. And I always listen and think, so this happens at this time, because that's just how it works now, so that means I'm at this point in the day.
Yeah.
I feel like with lockdown and everything, things have become very routine, so it's tough. But I think if you have something to look forward to doing at the weekends or in the evenings, then that's the best thing to do, really. Like, your job's done, then Wednesday night watch a film, Thursday night do some yoga.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was like, because what advice would you give to someone who's like sort of looking to get into the industry? So you mentioned earlier about like saying yes and the work experience you've done. Is that all you do, or would you like do other stuff as well?
I don't know, because I feel like I had a very unique experience into how to get into the industry. I think that night on the general election of 2017 really helped me, because I just so happened to approach a BBC employee who was lovely. Gary Scott has a special place in my heart. But he was so enthusiastic about what I was doing that really kind of helped me get that 2 weeks work experience. And it's very rare that you would get 2 weeks work experience at the BBC, but I think if you put yourself together a banging CV and then sort it all out from there, like I hadn't had a load of experience up until that point.
Right.
Let me think about what I had done. I'd done 2 like shadowing days at ITV Granada. That was through a family member. I'd done a week at LBC in London at Global, and then I'd done through uni a week at a station called Gem 106 that covers the East Midlands. It's a little bit like Hits Radio in Manchester.
Okay, yeah.
Version. So I'd done bits and bobs, and I said like what my enthusiasms were and that I lived in the area, and even though it doesn't sound like it, and it was that kind of vibe, and I just thought, you know, just kind of go for it, see what happens. I did my 2 weeks there, and then I thought I need to get back to uni, do my degree. I did my year at the TV station and never actually like emailed back saying, hi, I'm coming back for Christmas, have you got any shifts, or can I get a little bit of training or whatever. But I think it's kind of a case of say yes to all the opportunities that come towards you, and do all the bits and bobs to get you the experience. I think going to student radio conferences for me was probably the best option because loads of people from the industry were there.
Yeah.
The student radio conference is sponsored by BBC Radio 1 and Global, so there will be people there who will be able to help you. They deliver seminars, keynote speeches. There was one year where we had Greg James and Nick Grimshaw on one panel. Like, it was
incredible,
such a fun day. That was my first year in Cardiff, but that was the year that, well, those were the years rather, where you just kind of think, this is what I want to do. All these people are really inspiring. Soak that all in like a sponge, and then pluck up the courage to go towards people and just say, hi, I'd like to do this. Like, don't go up to them and say, I am the next Greg James, I am the next Roman Kemp, I'm the next Annie Mac, because they'll just be like, okay, hun, show me. But you've kind of got to show a little bit of a niche interest in what you want to do. And when I eventually kind of got the role at BBC Lancs doing a bit of everything, and then it went on to do the programmes, I was just enthusiastic. And I think that's what you need to do when you first start out. You just need to have an interest in the station. It may or may not be exactly where you'd want to be, but local radio is an amazing starting point for your career.
Yeah,
in any case.
Definitely, yeah. Because in that week that I was with Lancs and with you, I learned so much. Like, it was unbelievable. I was only there like 9 till 4, I think 9 till 5, 5 days for that week. And I learned so much. And it was weird, like going back to like lectures, because I was second year at the time, and going back to lectures thinking, I've just done this in industry, and and like having the feeling of that your video that you edited and you shot and you like done the sound for is on like the social media on Lancs, it blew, and people getting paid for it. That's the thing that blew my mind. It was crazy.
Yeah, like it's a mad situation to be in. And so when you came with us for that week was brilliant. And honestly, the guts that you had to, pardon the pun, to edit that video of me gutting a fish. Like,
you've been planning that to say that for ages.
I was like, what the hell's going on? But it's those weeks, I feel, where you've kind of gone to uni, you've done your, in broadcast journalism degrees, you do news days, where it's literally like, you plan a programme for like the end of the day, so like 4 o'clock, you get feedback on it, but it's literally like a day in a newsroom, and you plan a programme, you do the interviews, you do everything, kind of like edit it ready for a program so that it replicates what it's like in the industry. But I feel like when I did my year at the TV station, it helps you to realise just how quickly things need to be turned around for an actual broadcast programme.
Yeah.
The end of the day. So there have been so many times at Lancs when, even because I'm a freelancer, so I do a bit of everything, and there are some days when I've spent the week working on Thursday Night Takeover. I've spent a couple of days working on social media stuff, and then on Fridays I sometimes produce the drive time program. So I'm like, okay, social media head to program head to news head, and it's a lot to take in, but it's those experiences within the field and within the industry that help you to change those mindsets and kind of get yourself together, basically, and just make you think, oh, I can go and do this one day and this another day, and it'll be fine.
Do you find it hard? Because I, like, in my personal experience, like, I would do, like, so I'll spend a morning at the BBC, for example, and then that afternoon I'd be in lecture, but I'll be in a lecture still thinking about what I did at the BBC or what I've got to do. So you do like socials, you do producing, you do presenting, you pretty much like have done every job, pretty much every job at the station. Do you find it hard to like switch hats at like very, very quickly, or do you find it easy?
I think once you get the hang of it, yes, it's fine. And maybe if it happens over a couple of weeks, then you're used to it. But you've got to remember that you are within a station where everything is kind of joined together. So things are happening in certain shows. The news agenda is going to be pretty much the same throughout the day unless anything major breaks out. So I think what you've got to think is, how is this going to affect the audience that I'm trying to serve? So especially with social media that I've been working on for the past 12 weeks, you've got to kind of think about the social media trends that are happening at the moment. You've got to think about what the audience are wanting to see. We've found that people are actually getting tired of hearing about coronavirus stuff.
Yeah, I can understand why,
Yeah, because it's been going on for ages, and you can kind of tell the more regular quote unquote news stories that are happening over the past few weeks, like say with the whole Black Lives Matter movement and stuff that's been coming out over that, and maybe other crime stories and police stories that have been coming out over the past few days. So you've kind of got to think, what kind of audience do I want to serve? So with social media, obviously we're trying to attract a younger audience, but still people who follow our content, so that it's kind of safe in a way of being like, yeah, we want to attract the social crowd, but also our own listening audience.
Yeah, so it's trying to find a balance between the two.
Yeah, it's trying to find a balance, but then at the same time not making it clickbaity, because that's everything that we're doing. And then say there's another couple of days where I'm working on Thursday Night Takeover, and that's fine because I've been on social media during the week. So I know what the trends are, I know what people are talking about, so I can incorporate them into the programme, but then again, nurture that so that it's fine for the audience that we are serving, which is 18 to 30.
Yeah.
As well as the music and that. So we're not going to go on to say, here's Stormzy, and then talk about politics, or
it doesn't flow.
Like something that's the news agenda for the day. And then obviously on one days when I produce the drive time program, Fridays, like if you ever listen to Gary Hickson, well, what was before our schedule completely changed, it's more kind of a couple of news stories. So we'd get stuff from our local BBC service called GNS, General News Service, and then we'd also get more local stories. So I put a few calls in, and then I'd write the scripts for that, write a few questions most of the time they're pre-recorded. So I just set up a time, then I chop up the interview once Gary's done it, and it would just go out on air. And then I'd go downstairs with Gary and answer the phones, because he'd have a few quizzes going on as well, because it's Friday, it's fun, it's easy. So it's good because it just makes you so much more versatile, and you can put it on your CV just saying like, yeah, I've done like the entertainment side of things, but I'm also a journalist and I'm capable of this. And it makes you a really well-rounded person, to be honest.
Definitely,
so it's experience.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So just to like quickly end things, what would you, so I'm going to ask you 3 questions based on the past, present and future. So the first question is, what advice would you give a 15-year-old Lydia Flavell? What would you say to her?
15-year-old me would have been in year 10.
Yeah.
Just started in, 8 years ago, just started in my GCSE year. And I would probably say, don't worry about what people think of you. At that point, I was not thinking about being a journalist. I was not thinking about working in the media. I was full on set on acting and drama school and musical theatre, like full on set on that. And I just kind of thought, you know, I want to be the next Idina Menzel. I want to be this and that. But now I'm saying, you know, life doesn't quite turn out the way that you want to go with it, but you need to be able to be proud of yourself for finding a passion and for finding something that you're genuinely interested in, because I was still like interested in watching the news and current affairs, and I think I was watching some coverages from live events and I was like, this is amazing, I would love to be a part of this. And then I was researching all journalism stuff and things like that, and I just thought, you know what, follow what you're interested in and not what you think people at sixth form or school should really think of you going to, like the big Russell Group universities. Like, kind of make sure that you stay true to yourself, that you are being yourself, and that you want to follow your passion.
I think that's definitely important, because I've got so one of my sisters is 15 at the moment, and I'm trying to tell her the same thing, like just even if it makes you happy and if you're passionate about it, then that's all that matters. So I think that's massively important.
Definitely. And I think, you know, you're not going to be happy going to university if that's what you choose to do in a subject that you think, oh, I did all right in this in my A-levels, I may as well do it. I did drama, English and Spanish A-levels, and I went on to do journalism. They're great ways to get in, but at the same time, you don't have to stick to one of those. Just find something that you're interested in, you can actively show that you're passionate in, and make you happy.
Definitely, So question on the present. You've got a choice of 3 dinner guests. It can be dead or alive. Who would you invite? So you've got you and 3 other people. Who would you go for?
Me and so it's all round one table.
So it's 4 of you. So you're one of them, obviously, and then the other, you got to pick 3.
No.
Why? What have you done?
I've written mine down just so that I wouldn't forget, and then no, I don't think they're great. So let me just change a couple. 1 second.
No, you've got to tell me, who did you go for?
Right, so number 1, and I feel like this is one that everyone goes for, Michelle Obama.
Oh my God, Lydia! Like, so I've done, I think I've done about 8 or 9 on this podcast, and you are the 4th, I think 4th or 5th. But I agree. I know why. I totally agree why. I know why.
Yeah, well, Michelle Obama, because I'm halfway through reading Becoming by Michelle Obama. I've had the book for about a year, and I've just not, because of work and just my body clock in general, I've just not had time to read it properly. And during lockdown, I've I've managed to make my way through it, and I just want to ask her more questions. I just want to ask her like how things basically just happened in her life, and also just with everything that she does, she's just an incredible woman. And
Yeah, agreed.
She's just beautiful. Has Beyonce been mentioned?
No, she hasn't actually. So you're the first with Beyonce.
No, Beyonce, because I just think that not only is she an incredible and an inspirational artist, I think that she is doing so many amazing things for like organizations, and you know, she's put out these videos to do with Black Lives Matter and to do with well, she did that graduation thing
I
as
saw,
well.
yeah,
And
that was amazing.
wouldn't you love Beyonce at a graduation?
Oh, as the key speaker, that'd be incredible.
I'd just be like, yes, please, keep it coming, keep it
coming.
coming.
Keep talking.
But I watched on Netflix Beyonce Homecoming, which is her Coachella performance, and also the behind the scenes of that, and I just thought she's such an inspirational woman, having bounced back from having, well, a child and then twins,
yeah,
and then a year later, or a couple of months after she'd given birth, cracking on with her Coachella performance, just being like, wow, she's amazing and inspirational. I need one more person, because I crossed out a person who would not fit in at that dinner table. So,
who did you have?
Am I allowed an honourable mention?
Go on, because it's you, Lydia. Because it's you, I'll let you have one.
Thanks. So, have you watched the series on BBC Three, Normal People?
Is it based on the books, isn't it? Is that right? Yeah.
Book Normal People. I was going to put Paul Mescal, who plays Connell, just because I would want to quiz him on how on earth he created the character and kind of found himself within the role of such a, you know, a positive, not really positive actually, but a popular person in high school, and then suddenly goes to this person who is very sensitive and just human and showing their true emotions, and he's very attractive as well, so who'd be
that always helps. Yeah.
Let me think of one more person. Oh my god.
So at the moment you've got Lydia Flavell, you've got Michelle Obama,
yeah,
and you've got Beyonce, which I think that's a solid 3 at the moment. But who would you go for the fourth person? Who would you have?
I think I would go for...
Are you building up suspense?
Not necessarily.
No.
I think I'd go... I just need to check that I've got the right person. Just bear with me, because I get mixed up with surnames.
Okay, because like you mentioned the documentary on Beyonce, but there's also a documentary with Michelle Obama.
I've yet to watch it.
Oh, Lydia.
It's
amazing. Yeah, so good. They follow her around with, so she's doing like a book tour around America, and it's incredible. She meets like different people from different communities, and it's just incredible what she does. It's amazing.
Well, I've just loved her ever since Barack got inaugurated. Like, she's just been my queen.
Yeah.
Right, so my third dinner guest would be
who have you gone for?
You know what? Let's go for a journalist, since we're in this conversation. Let's go for someone like Hugh Edwards.
Legend.
And it's the 10 o'clock news on most nights on BBC One, because I feel like he would have some amazing kind of behind the scenes secrets to tell about trade and about how he got to where he is now. Like, I follow him on Instagram, I follow him on Twitter, and I'm constantly seeing such like bright, uplifting posts from him, and then he does some throwback pictures as well, and I just love to talk with him over a meal and maybe a nice glass of wine about how he managed to get to that place and how what his thoughts were, and how he just managed to do everything basically to become like news god.
Who he is, yeah.
That would be my third dinner guest. What an eclectic thing.
I was just about to say. I know.
Yeah, I'm thinking about this quite well, aren't I?
You are. That's a solid dinner party, I think.
I know, it'd be well fun.
Right, so sorry.
I'd probably record it or something. I don't know. The books.
So just to end up, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? So what will Lydia Flavell be doing in 2030? What do you reckon? Or do you hope even?
Well, number one, world domination. Number two.
Take over the world.
No, I would be 33. And I think, oh God, I feel like your 20s are a bit of a weird year where you're just trying to kind of find yourself and you've just finished university, you're just like, in my case, trying to mix back into home life, but then you've kind of got to think, I need to know what's going to happen in the long run, and you're going to need some kind of security somewhere. So my dream would be, my dream has always been to work in radio or TV, doing some kind of kids TV. So my dream would probably, the dream is to be like a Blue Peter presenter, even though I doubt that it will ever happen ever. But that's always been like the aspiration that I think a lot of people would have. But I reckon maybe being like a producer or a journalist at some kind of high-end media outlet, or kind of being able to create a concept or something that would have been able to change the way that we consume media, because I think social media has been so powerful over the past couple of years in making people aware of things and spreading news, and not spreading news, but delivering news. And there's always going to be some way of changing it. So making sure that it's appealing to the people that are going to consume it. So maybe younger people, for example, who I feel like are sometimes kind of underserved because of the way the news is delivered sometimes. I think having that social media aspect to it, or having a younger perception on things, is really important. So I'd love to I don't know, maybe in 10 years time, because I would be out of that age bracket, but be able to call on past experiences and be like a youth news producer or something. I don't know, just like calling on past experiences, or heading up some kind of program, but saying, make sure that these people are being taught things, and not just serving like the older people.
If that doesn't work, you, Beyonce and Michelle can take over the world. So
that would be amazing. Imagine, that would be like a new Destiny's Child, wouldn't it? Like, it
You've thought about this. You have thought about this, haven't you?
No. No, I'm seriously not. I've literally just thought about that on the spot. But you know what? It would be fun. But yeah, just like being an executive producer, or like something like you don't really get to be editor or like a senior producer until you're like well experienced. But working in like kids TV, or in some kind of higher end, I don't want to say higher end, but like say the national network radio, like 4 or 5 Live or whatever. Just whatever is thrown at me, I will take.
You'll say yes, right?
I love the experience. I'm saying yes to everything, which is my key phrase. But obviously think about how it's going to affect you first. That's my main advice. Say yes to everything, but think about how it's going to affect you. Say yes, but don't be afraid to say no if it's for your own personal well-being.
Yeah,
that's all.
I can't think of a better way to end. Thank you, Lydia.